Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm glad you're here today. We're about to start an exciting journey into Mega Goal 2.1, focusing on conversation plus listening. This is Unit 3, titled Far and Away. Over the course of this presentation, we'll explore effective ways to communicate and listen actively in various situations. So let's get started and dive into what's ahead. Today, we're going to talk about some essential skills for traveling and communicating effectively in different situations. First, we'll look at how to name and list the stuff to take along when traveling. Knowing how to do this makes packing and planning much easier. Next, we'll cover the importance of using real talk phrases. These are helpful expressions you can use to make your conversations more natural and confident, especially when making or declining special requests. We'll also practice listening carefully for specific information. This skill is crucial because understanding details can prevent misunderstandings while you're on the go. Another key point is stressing the compound nouns correctly. Proper pronunciation helps ensure you're understood and adds clarity to your speech. Finally, we'll work on matching words with their meanings. This activity improves your vocabulary and comprehension, making your communication even smoother. All of these skills together support our overall goal, to help you communicate effectively and confidently while traveling. Let's take a moment to consider the airline policy here. What do you think about it? Was it okay for the passenger to ask for a seat change under these circumstances? It's a good question to ask because it touches on how flexible or strict airline policies should be, especially when dealing with customer comfort. Now, moving to the man's request, what is your opinion of it? Do you feel it was reasonable, or do you think it was inappropriate? This situation invites us to reflect on the balance between customer service and airline regulations. Overall, this slide encourages us to think about the broader theme of customer rights versus airline policies, and how we navigate these sometimes tricky situations. It's about finding a fair and respectful approach that considers everyone's needs. So, the passenger was actually in the wrong seat to start with. It's a common issue. People sometimes sit in the wrong spot without realizing it. But what's important here is that he recognizes the mistake and moves to his assigned seat. And interestingly, the seat he chooses is actually the one he preferred from the beginning. This highlights a simple but key point. Clarity about assigned seating can prevent confusion, and sometimes people just need a gentle reminder to sit where they're supposed to. It connects to the overall theme of how small details and clear communication can make a big difference in ensuring a smooth experience for everyone. Let's take a closer look at the different ways passengers express their experiences. You might hear someone say "awesome," and that really captures those moments when travelers are excited and satisfied. On the other hand, there are comments like "a drag," which highlight when someone finds the journey tedious or frustrating. It's interesting to see how diverse passenger feedback can be, reflecting their personal perceptions. Some passengers might say they don't get it, meaning they're confused or don't understand certain features or services. Others might describe their experience as crummy, pointing to dissatisfaction or disappointment. And then there's the phrase "red eye," which often refers to those late-night flights that some travelers choose for convenience, despite the challenges they bring. What's important here is recognizing these varied responses. They remind us that passenger perceptions are highly subjective and shaped by individual expectations and experiences. As we continue, keep in mind how these different perspectives can influence overall customer satisfaction and how we might address or leverage them to improve our services. So, what did she actually say? Well, the phrase is quite playful and repetitive. It's "cool red flashlight eyes." You might notice that it's repeated in different forms: "cool red flashlight eye" and "cool red flashlight's eyes." This repetition is intentional. It emphasizes the vivid imagery and the striking visual effect of having eyes that resemble flashlights, glowing with a cool red hue. This description helps us connect the idea of something eye-catching and attention-grabbing, which ties into our overall theme of perception and visual impact. The way the phrase shifts slightly in each line also invites us to think about how we interpret descriptions. Sometimes, a small change in wording can alter the imagery or feel. Ultimately, this slide highlights the importance of vivid, memorable imagery in communication, especially when describing something that needs to stand out or evoke a strong visual impression. So, what did he actually say? Well, it's pretty straightforward. If you don't get it, then you just don't get it. It might sound a bit blunt, but the point is about understanding and perception. Sometimes, despite our best efforts, certain concepts just don't click right away. And that's okay. The key takeaway here is that understanding isn't always immediate or universal. It highlights how important it is to communicate clearly and to recognize that everyone has their own pace of understanding. This ties back to our overall theme of effective communication and the need for patience and clarity when sharing ideas. Remember, not everyone processes information the same way or at the same speed. So, in this slide, we're looking at a situation where the passenger is happy because he's finally going to get the seat he wanted. It's a small but meaningful moment that highlights how important seat selection can be for travelers. Now, you might wonder why he responds with awesome. Well, it's because he's excited and pleased with his choice, and he's expressing his satisfaction casually. But then there's a question about why the passenger says awesome, and the answer is simply that he doesn't really know why he can't sit in the open sea. This points to a common misunderstanding. Sometimes, travelers use expressions like awesome or cool without really thinking about their literal meanings. They're just informal ways to show excitement or approval. This brings us to an important concept. The expressions used by travelers are often informal. Words like crummy and a drag, for example, are not formal language. They're casual, everyday expressions that make conversations more relaxed and friendly. Now, why do you think that overnight travelers have red eyes? The reason is that they're usually very tired after a long flight or journey, and lack of sleep causes their eyes to turn red. It's a visual sign of fatigue. And finally, why do we call these flights red-eye flights? It's because travelers often stay up all night, trying to sleep on the plane, and when they arrive, their eyes are red from exhaustion. This term really captures the experience of overnight travel. It's a bit of slang that has stuck because of that tired, red-eyed look. So this slide helps us understand not just the language used in travel settings, but also the common experiences and expressions that make travel conversations more relatable and lively. Now, let's talk about the expressions we use for making and declining special requests. As you can see, using phrases like these can really make our requests sound more polite and respectful. It's all about creating a positive and considerate tone, which is crucial in professional communication. When you ask for something, framing your request politely helps the other person feel appreciated and more willing to help. Similarly, when declining a request, polite phrases help you maintain good relationships and show respect. Remember, the way we phrase our requests and refusals can make a big difference in how they are received. This ties back to our overall theme of effective communication, being clear, respectful, and courteous in every interaction. Let's take a closer look at some examples of those phrases within the conversation. This slide is about identifying how certain key expressions show up naturally in dialogue. By finding these examples, we can see how language functions in real interactions. Highlighting these moments helps us understand the practical application of the concepts we've discussed so far. Remember, the goal is to connect these examples back to our overall theme of effective communication. Recognizing these phrases in context allows us to better grasp their usage and impact. So, as we go through, keep in mind how these snippets exemplify the skills and strategies we've been exploring together. Now, let's talk about creating requests. This step is all about how to effectively communicate what we need. First, it's important to be clear and specific in your requests so everyone understands exactly what's expected. When you craft a request, think about the outcome you want and how to articulate it precisely. This helps prevent misunderstandings and ensures the team can deliver the right results. Highlighting the importance of context is also key. Providing enough background information allows others to see the bigger picture and align their efforts accordingly. Remember, a well-formed request not only saves time, but also boosts collaboration and efficiency. Connecting this to the overall theme, creating effective requests is fundamental because it sets the foundation for successful communication and project execution. When requests are clear and well-structured, it streamlines the entire process and moves us closer to achieving our goals efficiently. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. All right, let's take a closer look at this slide. As you can see, the content is arranged in a seemingly random order. A, I, F, E, C, B, H, G, D. At first glance, it might look confusing, but there's actually a pattern here. The key idea is that these letters represent different elements or steps in our process, each one playing a vital role. What's interesting is how they connect to the overall theme of the presentation, which is about understanding complex systems and finding clarity within chaos. Each letter symbolizes a piece of that puzzle, helping us see how individual parts contribute to the bigger picture. For example, the sequence highlights the importance of organization and sequencing, how even seemingly random components can come together to form a coherent structure when we understand their relationships. So, while the slide looks simple, it's really emphasizing that in our work, every element matters and that understanding the order or the connections between these components is crucial for success. This visualization encourages us to think about how we can identify and arrange these pieces in our own projects to achieve clarity and efficiency. Now, moving on to the final slide, let's take a look at the workbook on page 240. Specifically Exercise G, this is a great opportunity to apply what we've discussed and reinforce your understanding. For your homework, I want you to focus on thoroughly explaining the key points from this lesson, but do so in a conversational way. Think about how you would explain these concepts to a peer or someone new to the topic. Remember, the most important concepts are the core ideas we've emphasized throughout the presentation, so make sure to highlight those. Connecting these points to the overall theme is essential, as it helps solidify your understanding and shows how everything fits together. This exercise is not just about completing a task, it's about internalizing the material and being able to communicate it clearly. So, take your time, reflect on what we've covered, and approach the homework as a chance to deepen your grasp of the content.